meeting for October 19th. We'll start with the agenda, call to order.
President Ferguson,
Here.
Vice President Gerard,
Here.
Councilmember Fagan,
Here.
Councilmember Presser. Here. Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Gerard.
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder.
Here.
Borough Solicitor Harper.
Here.
All right, we'll go ahead and stand for our pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Stevens, will you give the invocation?
Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing of this day and for this opportunity to serve our residents. We ask that you give us wisdom in all that we do as we work on behalf of our community. Pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, we'll get to item 1, approval of the meeting agenda. Can I get a motion?
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? Changes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, item 2, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from August 31st workshop meeting and September 21st regular meeting?
So moved.
I got a from Council Stevens and a second from Council Fagan. Any questions, changes, or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, item 3, public input. Anyone here from the public who would like to speak, please stand and go to the podium. I'm assuming the podium is working. And talk to the microphone and ask any questions. All right, having none, we'll go to item number 4, the announcements.
Next council meeting is November 2nd workshop and November 16th regular meeting here in council chambers at 7:30 p.m. The planning commission is scheduled to meet on Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. Borough is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, October 26th at 8 a.m. here in council chambers. The Hatfield Borough Fall Park cleanup is scheduled for October 29th at 9 a.m. at Heritage Park. And the Halloween Happy event is scheduled for Monday, October 31st, 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. here at the Borough office.
All right, any questions? All right, if there are none, we'll go to item number 5, monthly year-to-date report.
The monthly year-to-date report was included in your packets through September. Just highlighting, it seems like a lot of revenues versus expenses came in, were up over the last several months. So just wanted to highlight that some expenses were, the CDBG, the Dolly, which was $359,000, that was approved at a previous meeting, so that made it go up. Some pension money that we're required to pay for the state, those things. Revenues, we had some state aid, some fire tax. The ARPA, second half of the ARPA came in. That we transferred into the account. So those are just some in and out items, but I know it's a big difference when you're going from 500 to over $1 million in a 15% increase. So just wanted to highlight that nothing out of the ordinary, though it wasn't a big difference between August and September.
Are any questions? Item B, monthly EMS report.
Included in your packets was the monthly EMS report. I will just highlight that they had a higher number of zone calls in 21 this month. And the total VMSC calls were 925. That's still roughly 2%. So every month we have an average of roughly 2% of calls are in Hatfield Borough from the VMSC. Though the calls are up, it's still roughly 2% of all calls for the month were in Hatfield Borough.
All right, any questions? All right, we'll get to item 6, new business. Item A, payment request number 1, 2022 roadway resurfacing project.
Payment request, number one was in your packets for, the total amount of $91,637.23. That includes, full payment for the contractor work minus, 10% less retainage. Just wanted to highlight that the contract total cost came in at $135,992. But, the project was only going to be, $101,859. So we have saved some money. There wasn't as much base repair as we had expected to be as part of the project. So we're under roughly about $34,000 for the contract total. And we'll also be reminded that $18,000 of that will also be coming back to us from IDA for Tummenton Avenue. So we had put in some money to get back from IDA, and we received those funds from FEMA. So another $18,000 to the good for us for this project. So we're looking for an action item tonight to consider paying the $91,673.23, which is the full amount of the project minus 10% of the retainage for any punch list items that they have to finish.
And that is on as an action item C tonight. All right, good job, came under budget, that's what we'd like to hear. So, any questions? All right, item B, draft open burning ordinance.
Does the committee want to talk about this or no?
Would you like, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I can, or you're more than welcome to, Larry.
Yeah, we have the three different ordinances here for your review that the committee has been looking at. So you have three draft ordinances: the open burning ordinance, the leash law ordinance, and the collection bin ordinance to review. If you could look those over and submit any suggestions for changes, things you don't like, we'll take it from there.
I think the highlight for the open burning ordinance will start, basically it is to allow recreational burning. So currently, right now, there's no open burning in the borough, including recreational, though some people put a pack of hot dogs outside and say that they're using a cooking device. This would allow for a fire containment device or portable devices intended for recreational use. So this would be allowing residents now to have fire pits in their backyards and enjoy that, not having to have a pack of hot dogs next to them.
right, the current ordinance only permits eating things that you can eat. So this, a lot of people seem to like to have, burn pits and things like that, chimneys, so they can do that under this ordinance.
So my biggest question is, can we change the name of it and how we refer to it? When I think of open burning, I think of my neighbor, I hope he's not watching, who likes to burn in his barrel in his backyard, which, is really not allowed, but, I don't want to be the guy that's calling the fire department on it either, so.
Let's think of a new name, and the other thing to remember is we're still not permitting the burning of trash. And some people do burn their trash rather than pay somebody
Right.
to come get it, so
Yeah.
I think we can come up with a new name on
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I think as long as you specify no burning trash, waste, that kind of thing.
Right,
Yeah,
and then-
so, okay.
okay,
Yeah, again, I think that'd be great, because every time I see the name, I think of really that kind of burning, so. All right. All right, any questions? All right, item C, the draft leash law ordinance. You want to summarize or any highlights on that?
Sure, so this came about actually talking to the Public Safety Committee. There was an incident in the borough that was brought to the mayor's attention, just of being in control of animals at all times. So Hatfield Township actually has under their parks and recs ordinance that the addition of this leash law, we always said it had to be in the parks and specified parks, but I think we're expanding it to say that any person owning, responsible for having custody of any dogs must have them on a leash, including a hand loop attached to the collar or harness at all times. It's not just when you're walking them in the park, it would be when you're walking them down the street. It would be at all times you need to be in control of your animal.
And the police said that it would be easier if the boroughs and the township's laws were the same. So basically, that's what the rewrite does, makes them the same.
Now, I know it says dogs specifically, is there a reason why we wouldn't list other animals in that as well, just like curiosity?
I think dogs were what the police were worried about. Does anybody know of an animal that we should?
I don't, I'm just curious, if someone has, their kangaroo, I'll just throw that out there,
Right.
they could say, well, it doesn't apply to my kangaroo, so I don't know, I'm just
We
trying to play devil's
could
advocate.
make it pet, but if we make it pet, then it's not gonna match
The township.
the township, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think?
I know people walk cats and bunnies. I know it's not out of the ordinary.
I'll never write cats and bunnies.
Yeah, like I know that's a thing, but I know this was specifically because there was an issue with people in their homes.
Okay.
Cats don't like leashes, trust me on this.
Oh, I. And all the feral cats we have. Okay.
I would just like to make one comment on this, and I think it should be a little more explicitly said in this, that this would include walking the dog on the sidewalk. I don't see anything in here where it specifically says that. Somebody might say, well, it's not in the ordinance, it just says about the park.
I think because at the end it says person able fully control said dog at all times.
Right.
They're assuming, so are you saying you would like it specifically called out?
On item I there, no animal shall be permitted in a borough park except, and it only says about the park. I would,
How about public areas or,
public area would
Yeah.
be more, I would change that, not to be, not just specific to the park.
right, I think that's a good idea because clearly you want the dog under control on the sidewalk.
Right.
Or if you said, maybe it's not just public area, but any area outside the owner's property. It's public areas.
Yeah, public area.
Yeah.
Sidewalk is a public area, the yard may not be considered that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I don't think that'll upset the police.
Okay.
Now, these will have to be on a future agenda to be advertised. Okay, and then we have to hold a hearing.
And then, so item D, draft, I can't speak my name. Draft for the collection of bin ordinance.
Yeah, this one we added to the zoning ordinance because we thought that's where it was most appropriate. There are 2 locations in the borough where these bins already exist. Do you remember?
Yeah, one is located at Nitty's and one is located behind the laundromat on East Broad Street, right by Santucci's.
So unless those areas are in the, let's see, industrial district or commercial district, and they're not, they're gonna be illegal if this ordinance passes. The idea was, what happens with these bins? And this actually came from the committee, so maybe you want to talk about it, but what happens with these things is they overflow, they don't get picked up regularly. The people leave stuff outside the bins and they make a mess. So what we're trying to do here is say, this is an accessory structure. You gotta abide by the zoning as an accessory structure. And so you're gonna have to mind the side yards, and front yards and things like that. If you wanna have one of these bins, and we're gonna treat it like a structure, like an accessory under zoning. So that might be too far, but it's land use, and the idea would be not to encourage it.
What about the existing ones that are out there now? Are they gonna be grandfathered in?
They would not be, because I asked that question of Bob, our code officer. He did not give either one of them a permit. So they're not non-conforming. They're just there. They would have to come into compliance or get a zoning hearing variance or something like that if they wanted to continue. So, I mean, I think it's important that you know that there are two places that have them. So that you can go look, or you can decide whether you think it's a good idea there or not. If you want to permit them, then we have to allow them in more places than the two zoning districts that we allow.
The concern of the committee was that we didn't feel that we wanted them popping up everywhere throughout the core commercial district, an area where we're trying to make more attractive and these bids sometimes have a tendency to be unattractive when they get full and people stack stuff outside of them. So we just thought it'd be good to have something in place to restrict some areas of the borough.
There's a bin that has trash, everything outside. Who's responsible for enforcing that? Who would be responsible for enforcing that? And I know it says that there will be a name and a phone number of the person responsible, but who would be responsible for contacting them? The borough?
That would be the borough zoning officer.
Zoning officer.
Right. It's not really a police matter.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, so it would be like any other zoning problem. You get a notice saying you gotta clean this up. Or get rid of it. Or we're gonna take you to local district court. So. So I think your committee's recommending all three of these ordinances, right?
Yes. We'll look them over, let's know if you have additional thoughts on them.
Yeah, I'd like to put it as an objective out there for everyone to kind of take a look at it. Let's have any final comments, questions, discussions on next week, and then we can make any final changes in advertising.
Okay.
So how many days do we need to advertise before we?
You only need 7 days
Okay.
for two of these, the dog ordinance, the pet ordinance, and the, and.
Recreational
the
burn.
Right, or whatever,
Whatever it's called.
the open burning,
Yeah.
which we're gonna call something else. But this one that we've been talking about with the collection bins,
Listen,
zoning, that takes 2 weeks, and there's usually not enough time between the workshop and the break.
Okay.
So we have to make a decision to advertise it, and then make sure we have it more than 3 weeks usually, get it out. Also, because it's a zoning ordinance, the planning commission should probably get a look at it and see if they have any suggestions.
All three of these ordinances are on the planning commission agenda from their meeting on Monday night.
Right, I would also say that we might need to send it to the Montgomery County Government Commission. Just the zoning. Not the- yeah.
yeah, I think if we get a look at it, we can still advertise it and have it done probably the first weekend or last weekend, second meeting in December or something like that. So.
Sure,
Yeah, if you look at them again next week or in November and you wanted to advertise it to have it on at a meeting in December, because then you would have a month to advertise.
right,
all
yeah,
four.
plenty.
Yeah.
I can put it on as an action to advertise the next meeting, but for the December meeting.
I think even though we're going through budgets, we have enough bandwidth to squeeze in anything. So I'm sure your committee'd like to get it done too, right? Any other questions on that? All right, item E, authorization to advertise the Broad Street and North Main Street utility replacement project.
We just wanted to keep with the schedule for the Broad Street and North Main Street utility replacement projects. So we're asking for authorization to advertise the bid packet. It's projected to be advertised by the end of the month. We're still putting a few items together, but to stay on the schedule, we really need the bids to go out, because the sooner they go out, the sooner we know what the bid's gonna be, and we can put that number in the budget for next year. So just to stay on task, we're asking to, consider advertising this, and once the bid is put together, we'll place it on pending.
Question? All right, if not, we'll go to item 7, old business. Payment request number 2 for final payment CTP Firehouse Flasher Project.
So this is payment request number 2 for the Firehouse Flasher Project. I will highlight that, there was some issues with the Firehouse Flasher. The contractor was out on site on Friday last week, took care of those issues and, ordered a replacement part. The flashers are working. We currently do have a 1-year maintenance bond on all parts for that project. So what happened was, it seems to be like they work kind of like a computer, that you just have to unplug it and plug it back in, and then it worked like you would your regular computer. But he said this does happen with those type of flashers. It's just, normally it takes several years for that to happen, but it just probably was a faulty part from the manufacturer. So they reordered the part. They currently are working, but he's just gonna replace that part just to make sure that, it doesn't happen again. He doesn't have to keep unplugging or plugging it back in. So they're just waiting on that part, but they are currently working. This would be for the final payment and would close out the portion of the grant for the project, and we could get reimbursement. And we do have a maintenance bond, but it's up to you guys if you, because I know there were some issues and there was some conversation last time about, if you wanted to pursue and give final payment. I think that's up to council. We do have a maintenance bond on the project.
Any questions on that? Do we still want to consider that as an action item today, or we want to hold off until they get their replacement parts?
Since we have the point two.
All right, we'll keep it on. All right. Item B, under old business, annual Christmas tree lighting request from Grace Lutheran.
Grace Lutheran wants to hold the annual Christmas tree lighting at Railroad Plaza this year, along with Memorial Park on December 3rd, starting at 6:30 p.m. There will be festivities prior at Grace Lutheran Church, starting at 2:30. They're just requesting for us to allow them use of Railroad Plaza and Memorial Park for this event.
I assume we'll have Public Works working, working overtime for that same zone.
Yes, yeah.
Nothing new?
No, it'll, I discussed it with Peggy yesterday, and, she's picturing the same thing. Santa gets driven up, comes out, waves a cane, throws some glitter, and the lights go on. So, seems to be the same as was in years past, so we will need somebody to drive from Public Works.
Okay. Now, I know as part of the celebration or the setup is the Christmas tree lighting, and I think Steve had mentioned the tree was starting to get kind of tall for the truck. Are we able to get lights all the way to the top still?
I'll ask him. I would assume so, but I'll confirm it.
I know that was mentioned. I don't know how fast that tree grew, so it's, we have to start running special ladders to get up there. It might start being a problem. Any questions on that? All right. If we don't have any questions on that, we can start hitting our action items. So we'll start with action item A, motion to consider payment request number 2, final payment for the CTP Firehouse Flasher Project to Charles A. Higgins and Sons, Inc., in the amount of $6,498.64. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, second from Counselor Gerard. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none, so the motion passes. All right, item B, motion to consider Grace Lutheran Church request to hold the annual Christmas tree lighting at Railroad Plaza and Memorial Park. Second. I got a motion from Councilman Cresser, a second from Councilman Gerard, or excuse me, Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item C, motion to consider payment request number 1 for the 2022 roadway resurfacing project at to Bloomington Glen Contractors, Inc., in the amount of $637.23.
So moved.
I'll second.
I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second from Counselor Gerard. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item D, motion to consider advertising the East Broad Street and North Main Street Utility Replacement Project.
So moved.
Second. I got a motion from Councilwoman Presser, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Item 9, motion to consider, or motion to approve payment of the bills.
Move to pay the bills.
I'll second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? Anything, Madam Manager, you want to highlight?
Just that, $1 million worth of bills is a lot for us, but I'll highlight that $593,000+ were for major projects, including CDBG, ADA, paving. So those added up for 593, and as you know, the CDBG was borrowed funds. So we took that from Harleysville, and we're getting 200 of that back from a grant.
All right, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. Are we scheduled to have an executive session to cover employee matters, legal matters?
Yes,
All right.
yes, litigation, personnel, real estate.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.